Well, there's a lovely little link between all of the elements in today's episode as we start another big week of double headers from Southend United. We begin today with the side who were closest to us in the Premier League table last year. They've changed manager and the man they've brought in was also a notable former name that the club will be facing second up in the Champions League today. This one is going to be pretty decisive and the next few episodes may well shape our season. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 121 of Saving Southend with me, Daniel. Today we face last season's surprise second place team in Aston Villa, who after a second stint with Zinedine Zidane have moved on to Jurgen Klopp after Zidane was poached by Manchester City. They've not started well and neither have Villa, who are stuck on 4 points after 4 games, but we're level with both Newcastle and Sheffield United, who have got 100% records so far. It's starting to look like a bit of a surprising Premier League table again. We'll then go away to Jurgen Klopp's former side, probably the place where he made his name in Borussia Dortmund. And the Champions League, to be fair, started okay against Ajax, but with the games coming every 3 or 4 days, it is going to get a bit tricky now. If you're looking forward to seeing how we get on, as we've got so many big double headers early in the season, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. We're going to go and have a look at a few games we played off camera. We are still investigating transfers for January. I'm really hopeful we can get some stars in. And I might have even found a centre midfielder now too. But for now, let's go and have a look at what's been going on since you were last here. Because we've only played a couple of games, but they were important ones. We got a 2-0 win against Norwich with a goal in each half. Adamson scored the first one before the break. We were under threat a bit. Jude Sadler, one of the star players and star performers in this game. The second half, Dejan Kranic off the bench, continuing his recovery, and he got himself a goal as Ashley Carr really starting to slip up after his positive start. Just not consistent enough, is he? We then played Ajax at home in the first Champions League game, and to be honest, it wasn't a good performance. In the second half, we got 3 goals in quick succession that sort of came out of nowhere. Yokolano opened it with a lucky one after a goalkeeper mistake, where he fumbled a shot from the edge of the box. Dejan Kranic then got the second and Soren Hansen scored from a set piece. We were pegged back late on, but it was a win. And with the Champions League group we've got to win the home matches and maybe try and get results away at the likes of Dortmund and Inter Milan, which are coming up soon. But today we move on to 2 tough away games, and I'm going to try and do that through the next few episodes where possible. There's one where I can't, but today we'll focus on Villa and Dortmund away. I mean, I could have done Arsenal and Inter as well, but we're going to leave that one. We'll then do United and City away the time after. And then after that, we'll have to do a home game against Bayern Munich. But we'll either do away to Newcastle or a home to Tottenham, depending on who's closest in the table. At the moment, looks like Newcastle might be our closest contenders. So we'll keep an eye on their score today. They are rampant with the goal difference at the minute. Arne Slot has gone there and made them brilliant. They've signed some big names, some big players. They've spent money. And even if you go back to last season, they've been building this team for a couple of years. There's a Newcastle side that is rejuvenated and maybe ready to deliver with our former right back, João Gomez. So let's go and get into today's game with just one injury on the books, that to the centre midfielder Ivo Torres. Liverpool and City held each other early. A lot of the big teams playing each other early in the season. We've already travelled to Liverpool and Chelsea, and now it's last season's second place team. So let's get through the tactical meeting and all of the pre-match rambles. Let's go and see what 11 we can pick. It'll be rotated from the Ajax game, I feel, and we'll see how we line up against Villa's brilliant 11, including a left-back Phil, who's one of the best in the world. Well, we've put out what I feel will be our strongest team today, but I do need to note something that we haven't had for a while, and that is an unhappy player. Peter Bamberg, unhappy about his contract. He's on 145 grand a week. As soon as he's played a few good games this season, he's up wanting 235. I mean, Peter, I'm going to sell you in the end, but the way you have pushed, despite your lack of performances at this club, is astonishing. So he may be the next one to move on. Might need 2 midfield replacements come January, or maybe Jimenez will get the stay regardless. There are a few players who should be in the team today. Yokolano and now Kranic, arguably in better form than Robertson and Carr. But we've got to manage fitness. We've got to manage workload, especially with a trip to Dortmund in midweek. So I'm going for the team that has generally been the 11 in the Premier League this year. It is Sadler in goal with Memic and Carlos the fullbacks, Rakowski is back to full fitness alongside Herbert as centre-half. Robertson and Adamson are wingers with Kivrakidis alongside Bamberg. And then it's Carr and Wills up front. Two superstar strikers. There's another couple on the bench if we need them. Let's go and get through to it away at Villa. The closest rivals last season. Not the best start to this one. What has Jurgen Klopp got up his sleeve? Well, here we are. Two changes for the host. One of those dropping out to Zire Doué, who he briefly managed in a head coach this year at Bayern. He's out injured for them. On the bench, they've got Prosper Adamola, a centre-half we tried to sign in the past, and David Washington, an original player too. There's a lot of quality there though, and I'm a bit worried about this game because there have been signs that we're not quite as strong as we once were. And we've not been winning games comfortably. We often have that early in the year. And you've seen some of the games we've played. They're against good opposition. We've not been rampant. We've been nicking games. I think that's the better summary of it. So hopefully this first half will be a bit more enlightening. A lot of the goals this season, both for and against, have come later in the games. We've started well here as Adamson on the left looks for Peter Bamberg. Can he get over his unhappiness? As Herbert the skipper finds Rakowski. Back to a full complement of defensive options as Kivrakidis releases Jorg Robertson. I said it should have been Yukalano today. And Robertson maybe proves why. Not the best finish in the world. I mean, off the pitch, he's developed phenomenally. He's not showing it consistently at the minute as Adamson. Corner kick towards Herbert at the back stick. It's over the bar from Wills, who leapt above everyone. And it stays goalless, but we've had all the chances early on. As Sheffield United are winning again. I mean, they've signed some good players. They've spent a lot of money. And yes, they've maybe had a slightly easier start to the season on paper. You can see Norwich, Bournemouth, Leeds, Fulham so far as well, then West Brom. It's a really impressive start. They're beating the teams you would expect them to. As Kennedy puts a free kick in, which Sadler does so well with. Again, you can see, oh no, he's the best rated player on the pitch, but you just saw the message. Pulled wrist ligaments. Do we take him off and try and stop it getting worse? But know that it might mean we lose the game with McNaughton as Carr gets down the right. The goalkeeper injury's definitely coming back with aplomb in recent weeks. Memic finds Kivrakidis off the post. It's a stunning strike. Doesn't quite make it in the end. And I know he's the best player, but I'm going to change it. We saw the impact it had, particularly in Europe last year when Sadler was out long term. And I don't want it to cost us again. So McNaughton comes on the youngster. To be fair, played almost half the season last year. We know he's a good goalkeeper, but he's just not quite the same yet. Not got that experience. 10 to the break. It's a pretty even match, but I'd argue we've had the best chances. We're sacrificing the ball. We're hitting on the counter. But so far, despite both game plans, it's 0-0. As Robertson tries to break down the right, it's not the best ball. I mean, I think the difference in this game might be what we can bring off the bench. Hopefully we can stay in it to the hour mark and then unleash the likes of Kranjic as here they come in midfield. Wide towards Garvey and now Kennedy. I've said, can we stay in it now? We're probably going to concede. Garvey in, that's offside. Has to be offside. I'll be asking some huge questions of Armin Memic if this is not disallowed. Because he looked a mile behind, and he is. Good defending, good line. And it stays 0-0. Deservedly so. Well, into the 3rd minute of stoppage time in the first half. And it's Villa with a set piece, which is headed comfortably over. We can deal with that all day. Half time, it will be 0-0 here at Villa Park. And you know what? In the grand scheme of things, that's not bad. We're going to say we're disappointed. I want a reaction from Bamberg. But of course, we've already lost a sub break, so we need to be careful. The best performers are definitely in defensive areas. And Adamson is having a bit of a stinker. He'll be the first candidate to come off. Well, there's just over 25 minutes to go. And this game is plateauing. There's nothing happening. So I'm going to throw Aguiman on at right back just because Memic is on a booking. Not been great either. Adamson's had a stinker, so Luis Vasquez is there. Robertson again has been average, so Yukalano the sub. And Ashley Carr, it all started so well, didn't it? But it's now 3 or 4 games where he's barely made an impact. And Kranjic, he's starting to score goals, so we'll come on. As Memic puts a cross in, headed away. Wills gets it back into danger. So away as far as Robertson, might have to hastily change the subs if something happens here. It's still pending as Memic finds Kivrakidis. We're being forced back. Bamberg with a chance to switch it. Giancarlo streaming forward. He's had a really good game and he gets to the byline into Joe Wills and it's straight at the keeper. There was a better opportunity than that. Maybe just went behind him slightly, but I guess with Kranjic coming on, that will give us extra height in the box. I'll say what I said the last 2 away games. A draw is not a disaster here, but it would be nice if we can nick it. We've just about had the better chances. I'm going to throw a bit of encouragement, but you can see at the bottom, there's a few tired legs just creeping in now. And that's maybe what's going to cost us later on, as Wood gets the ball up front for Villa. The worst thing would be if we manage to throw it away somehow here. Bill goes back to Lopez. Chance to play into midfield, but instead just takes his time, he's patient, he's waiting for us to come out here. And Jorge goes back into defence again. Go on, give it away. Not to be. Phil breaks down the left. We know he's got quality. We forced him back though. Long old highlight this. Emma ran into Kennedy. Now Garvey looks worrying. Washington on the overlap. The ball's just beyond him. It's still danger though as Garvey looks to cut it back. Bernberg misses it. Dodgson's in over the bar and we get away with one. 5 minutes remaining. It stays 0-0. But boy, that was close. And we're going straight from the goal kick as well. McNaughton works it left. Carlos and Vasquez playing a 1-2. And Bernberg looking for that pass, but didn't even turn to look forward. Just turned back and played safe. As Herbert into midfield. Bernberg again. Doesn't look up. Back to the centre half. Aguiman does have a chance to break though. The only real star summer signing. What can he do? Finds Kranic and Yukulano. Kivrakidis again. He's tried that twice today. First one hit the post. Second one might have been as well, but Lima didn't take the chance. He parries it wide and puts Dion Kranic on a corner with 87 on the clock. Would almost be the perfect time to score a winner. The point of not really much time to return as Herbert's up is headed away. It's a thrilling end to a pretty dull game as Yukulano in, away by the centre half. There is no respite for Villa here, is there? And as I say that, the highlight ends. And I'm afraid that's probably going to be it. We had to score in that little passage, but we didn't. A 0-0 draw, our first drop points of the season. And two very good sides playing it out for a point. Let's be fair here. We've had 3 very tough away games and we've got 7 points from them. Jurgen Klopp comes in. He's not started great here. They look like a very good side in that one. Let's move away to Dortmund in midweek and see if we can keep the pressure up in a Champions League. Well, it's Champions League time and rotation is going to be needed. Just thought I'd note some interesting ones here. Derry City in the Champions League group stages and 3 Scottish sides in there as well. Definitely signs that the UK are doing well. Villa, our opponents from the weekend, are off to Barcelona. You can see Spurs in there too. But let me show you what we've got to come up against, because as well as some brilliant players from Dortmund, there's not really any originals left apart from Erbig in goal, who we know from the head coach save. We tried to sign him at Bayern Munich, but our director of football failed in the bid. But the midfielder is the one I'm looking at here, Antonio Matas. He might end up joining us in January. He's one of 3 I've got my eye on, and one of those who we had a bid rejected for in the summer. For now though, let's go and see how many of this team are fit. Do I gamble on rotating pretty much the whole 11? We've got Bournemouth and then a few weeks off after the weekend, so maybe I don't need to do quite so much. I'm going to make 3 or 4 changes just to freshen it up, but this time we will be going pretty strong. Well, it should be noted first up that Jude Sadler is fine and will start in goal. That proved that our decision to take him off worked because we still kept a clean sheet at the weekend and now we've got both keepers. I have made a few adjustments, mainly in wide and attacking areas. The 2 right-sided defenders both had a heavy match load. Rakowski had been injured. Memic has had awful injuries the last few years. So I've brought in Aguiman and Hansen there. They've both been pretty strong in deputising this season. I've changed both wingers because they've been playing poorly. And to be fair, in Adamson's case, he had a stinker at the weekend. So Vasquez and Yukulano, able deputies. I've left Bernberg in because of the Torres injury. And then at the weekend, we'll bring in Jimenez. And then up front, I've gone for Dion Kranic. Ashley Carr, just so frustrating. Cannot find consistent form. I really thought at the start of this season he was going to be the gem, but it's not to be. It's 4 changes in total, or 5 in fact. Both wingers, the 2 right-sided defenders and 1 striker. Let's see how they cope away at Borussia Dortmund. Hopefully, we'll make it 2 from 2 in Europe. Well, 3 changes. Still Terzic in charge, blimey, unless it's another second spell. We've seen that a few times this year. I think the goalkeeper is the only name I perhaps recognise as an original. I can't see anyone else in there. Jargard. Oh, Udrago as well. I've missed out a second name there. But on the bench, no, none of the familiar originals. So let's go and get into the first half. You know what? This could be another one of those efficient episodes where we're not particularly exciting. We're not delivering hammer sledging victories, but we are doing all right. And at the moment, that's all we need. It's been a tough start to the season. If we can get through it to this international break without a defeat, it really would be positive in my book. As Kivrakidis puts a taunting free kick in, Surprised me how much bend there was on that. It nearly took my breath away. As Aguiman gets it in, Hansen had a chance before, but the second one is swept away. Threatening signs early on for a threat from set pieces too. Not scored as many this year. I need Herbert to start nodding some in. Well, maybe I got a little bit overexcited because we now head to half-time through stoppage time with no incident. The defence has played really well, but we've had no shot on target. We've just had that one little spell from the set pieces near the start. We've not really looked like scoring since. So maybe it's a case of getting results away from home, but not really offering a goal threat, which is a worry. When Ashley Carr's not on form, Wills and Kranic, I mean, no one's really hit the season running, have they? Ashley Carr did it for 3 games, but you need to be a world-class player for more than 3 games in a row if you're going to win big titles. As Vishas gets in, and we survive thanks to the post there. That is not good defending. Done out wide very easily, Jean Carlos. And with 5 gone in the second half, you have to argue that Dortmund look the bigger threat at the minute. And that is a big concern for us, as it's an outswinging corner from them. Front post, Hansen does well. Kranic, though, gives it straight back to danger. As Lazarov looks for Pinheiro. Space to shoot, finds Vishas again. And he makes no mistake this time. The last one's off the post. That one is in from a distance. We said they were a good team. We said they had quality. And at the moment, we're heading for a first defeat of the year. It is Borussia Dortmund 1, Southend United 0. And with an hour gone, we are yet to have a shot on target. It is time for changes. Joe Wills has been poor. Ashley Carr is going to be on alongside Kranic up front. Vasquez has struggled as well, so Adamson will get another chance. If Rakidis off for Joaquin Jimenez, they'll probably play together at the weekend. Do I bring Rakowski on? No. I'm going to go Hector Sanchez. He can play as a central defender, not a ball winner. And Jean Carlos for De Angelis. 5 changes, all gambled at once. If we get to the last 10, we'll gamble, we'll go attacking. Because it would be nice to nick a point out of this at least. Just want to keep the unbeaten momentum. Doesn't look like it's coming though, does it? Going to throw a bit of encouragement as we have now managed a couple of shots on target. And we're going to go for it. 10 minutes to go. We've gone aggressive. We've gone attacking. We're starting to dominate the stats, but with no highlight, with no sign of the goal. Give us a chance, please. Nothing's happened. Borussia Dortmund have edged their way to an ugly 1-0 victory. And in this episode, we have not scored. We've not been a massive goal threat all year, but to not score at all in 2 games doesn't often happen with us, does it? Let's have a look at that then. 17th and 16th, we're level now on 3 points. And ironically, probably the strongest team we've played in a group stage game for many a year is unable to get the job done. I mean, we were just about the better side. We had twice the expected goals, but doesn't matter, does it? We lost 1-0. Let's have a look at the schedule and see what that means. Because after a good start to the season where I say we've been struggling for goals, we've still been scoring 2 at least per game. We produced 2 blanks in a row. We've still not conceded more than 1 in any game, so that is a positive. But with this tough start continuing, we're going to have to find a way. My largest concerns, as you know, this season are the Carabao Cup and the Champions League, 2 trophies we've not won before. And of course, we still want to be up there in the Prem as well. Bournemouth at home shouldn't be a problem. We've played a few teams like that this year. But then we've got a couple of rotten away games before our next episode as well. So we'll get through Arsenal, Inter, we'll get through Leeds United too. And we will be back for the 4th round tie in the Carabao Cup, away from home at Manchester United. As the FM gods still don't want us to win that competition. We'll then play Manchester City in the league 3 days later, with Zidane in charge, having taken over, having left Aston Villa. We'll then get through a November with a lot of easier home games on paper, before coming back for Bayern Munich and Newcastle away. That's how the rest of this week looks in this save, and it does not look easy on paper. You're going to see the toughest games. You're going to see the most important ones. If you enjoyed this one, 2 very tight and nervy encounters, but no goals scored on our front. And please do put a thumbs up on the video. Hopefully on the pitch at least, I can provide you with a bit more entertainment soon. And maybe it's punishment for taking my eye off the ball and looking at January transfers out of the window. If you want to stay up to date and see how the rest of this season goes, whether the drop-off continues or whether we can find our fluent best form, and subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back tomorrow with the Coach's Head Save. You can find that playlist up in the eye above. There's also links there to the Twitch channel and the football podcast, which will be up and running for the new season next week. So make sure you come and get involved with all the prediction shows. But thank you very much for watching, for being here as always. A little bit of a struggle in those 2 matches, We'll see if that theme continues in a double trip to Manchester next time. I hope I'll see you in a couple of days' time as we find out the answer.